Welcome to the Friday movie show here on PulpMythos. Today we will be discussing Ready or Not. I'm Brian here with Spencer.
I was getting ready to start singing the Fugees.
You know,
Ready or not?
I was thinking about that too. And it's funny if you even type Ready or Not in YouTube, that's all that pops up. You have to specify movie. Um, but yeah, we're going to be talking about that movie. We typically do the spoiler-free stuff up front, and then we go into spoilers. This one is tough
But fuck that, because
to do that because they're all in the trailer. So like the trailer tells you everything with a few exceptions. So I like well I'll try and be spoiler free up front, but as I said, the trailer basically tells you everything. So the IMDb breakdown: a bride's wedding night takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. The directors, I'll just say Matt and Tyler, they will be doing Scream 5. So I guess this film um, was a good resume as far as horror. They've done a couple other horror projects. Was it Southland or something? I should have wrote it down.
Southbound.
Southbound. Not seen it. Looks interesting. Heard good things about it. But I have to watch that eventually.
Well, without spoiling anything, this movie, and we've talked about it, and I've said it several times, Scream has some funny aspects to it. This movie, although it was horror-ish, it was also a lot of comedic parts. So them doing the next Scream to me makes sense. It was a good choice.
Well, yeah, definitely tone-wise, very much like that. Yeah, I agree. The rated R for violence, bloody images, language throughout, and some drug use. An hour and 35 minutes. Comedy, horror, mystery. Came out August 21st, 2019 in the U.S. And stars Samara Weaving, who was in The Babysitter. Did you watch that? It was on Netflix.
Yes, I did. That movie that was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was great. She's, I guess, sort of doing a bunch of horror right now, but I guess Scream Queen or whatever. So let's see here. Yeah, before we jump into spoilers, the trailer, if you watch the trailer, you know roughly what the movie is. So basically, I'm just going to say it because it's in the trailer. So, bride joins a family. Turns out they want to play a game with her that involves hide and seek, and they want to hunt and kill her. That's in the trailer. As you said, it's comedic, it's horror, it is a hard R, a lot of gore, and humorous things, very similar to like a Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz or something like that with the dark humor. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. This would have been a great movie to watch with a group, like, or in a theater, I think.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, just laughing and kind of playing into the other parts, and there's a couple, little one-liners and things that are said that even me sitting by myself, I was laughing out loud. So I missed a couple of the other underlying jokes that, you see in theaters. That happens all the time where something funny happens and you miss the next five things. But it would have been interesting to see something like that in theaters.
Yeah. That's about it for the spoiler free. Who would you recommend this for? Is there anyone you wouldn't recommend it for?
Well, I know there's a lot of people who don't like mixing of genres. And, we had talked about it before, the, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Yeah.
Where it is comedic, but it does have a lot of horror aspects. So anybody who likes, fun with their horror, I think they would, enjoy that. But, certain people don't like mixing of those kind of genres. So I guess those are the only people who I would say no. Because there's not a lot of jump scares. It's for something that's kind of like we were talking about, like Scream, they had a ton of like jump scares and stuff. This really didn't. Like the horror parts weren't like jumpy. It was and that was part of the reason I liked it, because even the kind of movie it is, it wasn't relying on something coming out of the shadows and jumping at you. Like I, you know, like it's preemptively saying, like, I really enjoyed it. I liked this, and I liked the directors or whoever, penned the script or whatever, because I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I agree with just about everything you said. So, is my audio breaking up on your end?
Nope.
A little behind the scenes for you people. My computer was doing something weird. Yeah, we do not record in the same place. We record in our homes.
It's because Brian doesn't stream his porn; he just downloads it, so it was like lagging on his end.
The download. That would be.
He's in like Kaza or LimeWire.
The So yeah, we're about to go into spoilers. Full spoilers in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the way we're gonna do this, we'll just talk about all the characters because there's not a huge cast, but everybody sort of has a role to play in the movie. We'll go into the characters, their relationships, and then dive into the game, which is going to be the most difficult part to describe what exactly it is they're doing because it's a little convoluted in my opinion, and we'll get into that here in a minute. So the leads are, well, it's Alex. Not Alex. Grace. Grace is the lead. I don't even. I said Alex because I don't even think I would consider him a co-lead. I would actually consider Daniel more the co-lead.
They actually do. If you look at IMDb, Alex is listed like fourth.
And there's an entire
Grace, then Daniel, and then I think the dad, and
yeah,
then her.
yeah, that makes sense. There's a huge chunk of the movie he's not even in it. But yeah, Grace is the lead character. You know, she's the heroine. She's the protagonist, and basically everyone else is the antagonist. Her and Alex met, but this is the film opens and it hits really quick. You basically have the opening sequence: two young boys running through a large house. A man is being hunted by cloaked people, and then there's a bride that seems upset when they shoot him with some crossbows. They drag him into this room, and then literally within the first 5 to 10 minutes, it establishes that those two young boys are Alex and Daniel, who you meet in the very next scene. So the movie does not take time at all to, slowly tell the story. It drops the information pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily dislike that.
No, I don't. No, no.
Because to me, there's no, especially in a movie like this, there's no need to give a giant long backstory. And if they gave a giant long backstory at the beginning, there would be no surprises, no, you wouldn't know how the end, when that big twist happened. Not big twist, it was a twist, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The kind of movie it is. Matter of fact, there was a particular part in it where I thought consciously to myself, "Don't think about it too much, just enjoy." So we were introduced to Grace and Alex. So Grace, she's a foster kid. Never like had a family situation. Her and Alex is from a super rich, powerful family who gets all their money from making board games. They met a year and a half ago, and they want to get married now. She's never met anyone in his family. He hates his family with the exception of his brother Daniel, and that is basically their backstory of those two characters. I thought it did a good job in the opening, sort of establishing their relationship.
But yeah, and they, there was a scene with damn it, what's that lady's name who used to do all the L'Oreal commercials? Andy McDowell or Andy Mc something. The mom.
The mom.
Yeah, but she, was talking to him shortly after the beginning, and she mentioned she doesn't know you as well as we do, and he's just like, he argued with her. He's like, bullshit. So he feels that his whole time with the family was him trying to get away. So now that he's away, he himself with Grace. He's finally, found his own personality and his own, way away from his family.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because they do establish that he like left and was doing it. Yeah, doing his own thing. I'm gonna rattle off all the characters, and then whichever ones you're interested in discussing, just we'll talk about them. So later, we have Daniel, who is Alex's brother, best friend. As I said earlier, pretty much the co-lead, pretty important character. We have the father, leader of the family, the mother, who's probably the most sympathetic character by the end, in my opinion, as far as her and Daniel. But you sort of feel for her. You have the I'm just calling them father, mother, shit like that. You have the aunt. You have the sister, who is a drug addict and a very clumsy. You have her family. She has a husband and two kids. Then you
Kids
have
are assholes.
yes, very much. You have Alex's wife, who sort of go into her backstory. You don't really, at least I didn't, hate her. The more you learn
You
about
mean
her,
Daniel's wife?
Daniel's wife.
Grace
You're
is
right.
Alex's.
Correct. Correct. Um, so yeah, she was sort of interesting. You have a butler, who turns out to be one of the main characters also, which is
Stevens.
funny. And then you have three maids, and then you have the ghost of Mr. LaBelle, or the devil. I'm jumping, like I said, spoilers. So, uh, so yeah, those are the characters of the in the movie. Is there any character that stood out to you, or you thought
Well, there
wasted, or not? How do you?
there were several. The the one, I guess, sister who had a her husband who was, they were the ones with the kids.
Yeah.
And to me, I felt like his character was so, it added a comedic element to it. He was such an asshole. He was shitty to the kids. The kids are both shitheads. Like their mom, was just being, she was overwhelmed by the game, but she was so excited to play it, but she was so bad at it.
Yeah.
Like it, to me, they're not the comedic relief, because there's a lot of other things, but that was, to me, that like, it was the comedic relief. You look at things like Shaun of the Dead or Dale and Tucker. There's, Dale and Tucker, they're the main characters, but all this horrible shit's going on behind them, but they kept screwing up. And that's what it kind of reminded me of with those two. Because if I'm not mistaken, she was the one that like shot the maid in the face. Like
Yes.
she's the one that fucked up like 4 times, and then she was like running over doing drugs and then coming back. Like
She did. She killed two maids.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because she was just trigger happy. I also really enjoyed, like you said, the mom. To me, it was she did a good job at least making you sympathize
She
with
cared
their
about her
plight.
family. Yeah. And she was, in a situation where she wasn't happy with it, but at the end of the day, it was about the family and keeping the family going at all costs.
Um,
And
you can jump ahead because that played a big role. And they said it, in the rules that there's this box, and Mr. Mr. LeBeau, who at the end
LaBelle.
looks, LaBelle,
Yeah.
he looks like it's like an apparition, but it's what we're assuming is the devil, like the actual devil. But there's this box, and he's telling you have to play this game. So each one, they're like joking about it. One of them had to play chess. One of them had to, I don't even remember all the games, but the chess one to me was funny.
Like Go Fish or Old
Yeah,
Maid or shit like
Old Maid. He was like, what the fuck is Old Maid?
that.
But for them to have to play these silly games, they knew it was eventually going to happen again where they had to play hide and seek. And the hide and seek, they put this record on, which was, that part was creepy because this is before it got real comedic. Like, I was
I
like, oh
love that.
shit.
Yeah, the record that was great. I love
So
that.
this record is playing, singing this song, telling them to hide and seek, don't let them see your feet. Like, it was really creepy. It was like, these kids singing this weird playground song, but it had a really ominous tone to it. So they're all going, they're picking up weapons, and then they all go to find her. But, they explained that this box had a very significant thing because, like, they put these cards in a box, and then whatever card came out, you had to play. So the mom actually had mentioned, she was like, we knew this was coming. But so they all knew, and Alex still brought Grace to this wedding. So,
Yeah.
with him trying to play this innocent kind of, thing, I feel like he was just as much to blame by the end of this as anybody else.
Oh, absolutely. His character had the most. Actually, had a big character arc. One of the only in the whole film. From beginning to end. A bad one. He turns into be he embrace
Yeah.
the evil, if you will. The game, it's a little confusing. There were certain elements of it. I was like, I guess I get it because they have a huge dump of information when they begin to play it, and then throughout the movie, you get little bits and pieces, little information. Because, like you said, the Damas family had encountered the Mr. LaBelle like generations ago, and yeah, he had this box, and he basically told him, they made basically a deal with him where you get the box, you play this game, and you're going to benefit. Your family's going to get wealthy and powerful, and all this stuff. And whenever
So, like,
someone new
Devil at the Crossroads.
it exists exactly, honestly, whenever a new member joins the family at midnight, you have to draw a card. You put it like a blank card in there, and then they have to draw a card. I don't understand the significance of that. The You draw a
Well,
card. Oh, go ahead.
what I was tying that to, because it felt very New Orleans ish, like, Louisiana, but they kind of like tarot cards because, if I'm getting my fortune read with the tarot cards, I have to, like, cut the deck. I have to do this because it's me affecting it, not somebody else affecting it for me. So it's kind of like fate choosing what's happening to you. So when she had to do the cards and stuff, I felt like that was the significance behind that she was the one choosing hide and seek,
Hmm.
or it was being chosen for her.
And if, like you said earlier, if you draw any game, you just simply play that game and you're good. If you draw hide and seek is the one special card. They have to play hide and seek with you. They have to wound you. Well, they have to get you back to that room and sacrifice you before dawn. If they don't, the whole family dies, and that's the rules. And Alex had they established later that if you marry someone and you don't do this ritual, you'll die. So, like you said, Alex made a conscious decision. Instead of saying, you know what, I rather not risk her life and just let her be, give up on this and let her, live her life, then bring her in on this, potentially having to kill her. Um, he didn't do that. He brought her anyway. So you're already in that scene. Yeah, it's like, okay, I understand he's in love with her, but you're already saying, well, there's a selfishness to the guy.
Yes, because I look at people like, isn't it Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn who have been together for like 35 fucking years and they've never got married? I think it's them.
It is. I think they may have split recently, though. But even if that's the case, yeah, they were together for decades without getting married.
Yeah. And, I'm not against the sanctity of marriage or whatever the hell they want to refer to it as, but I don't have like this curse hanging over my head saying that if I get married, I'm going to die or my wife's going to die. Like he still chose that.
Yeah.
And the mom told him that she mentioned that he knew that it was coming. Like it was either going to be her or the very next person to get married. Like it was that card was coming soon because it had been so many marriages since that card had been drawn
Hmm.
previously. So because it had been so many times, it comes up every so often. So they knew it was coming. Alex knew it was coming, and he still chose to do this or take that chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Going into his character's story arc, he and then we'll jump into the horror elements of the movie, the gore stuff. But there's a point in the movie where the aunt references, and I thought this was going to play a significant role at the very end. It sort of did, and then it didn't. But he saw LaBelle when he was a child, and he's the only person who'd ever seen him. And they thought it was almost like a prophetic that he would he would lead the family, and he was going to be the one that was aligned with this evil force or whatever, and he was rejecting it and he needed to embrace it. And in the end, he does embrace it. He does turn on Grace. He, in fact, leads the attempt at sacrifice, which uh, doesn't go down the way they wanted it to, obviously. So yeah, he becomes the straight up the villain by the end of the film.
That's, I mean, like I said, that's what I would categorize him as. Because I mean, it's one of those things where I think not movie tropey, but like they were trying to make him out to be the one trying to save her, be the good guy, when in all reality, he was probably the worst thing for her.
Yes. Yep. So we're gonna jump into the gore stuff and then talk about that final sequence, which is the highlight if you're into gore, because it's not only very comical, but it's very Evil Dead, Dead Alive, over the top gore comedy. So as we said earlier, the maids, the Alex and I do not know the character's name. Shit, I don't even know if they say it.
Which one?
Alex and Daniel's sister.
They did. It's like Charity, I think.
Okay, we'll call her Charity, even if it's not. It's a Charity. Um, she's okay in the movie. She doesn't have much to work with. She does the comedy stuff pretty well. Um, like you said, she really wants to please her father. She really wants to contribute to the family, and yet she's constantly coked up and screwing up. That's her character basically. The only time she does or says anything of significance, in my opinion, is when she pleads with Daniel about, because Daniel's like, we should all die, and let Grace live. Screw this. And she basically says, "What about my kids? Do they deserve to die?" And I was hoping they were going to go more into that and they were going to explore that, but it's not really that kind of movie. Um, so yeah, but it was an attempt at giving her character a little something, a little motivation as to why she's doing what she's doing. But she kills. What did you feel? How did you feel about her character overall, as far as that?
I didn't like hate her. I mean, to me, she was trying to give herself something to fight for. But I think that it almost took away from Daniel's character because he was such a, although he was super smart assy, and I love Adam Brody, but I felt like her character. Well, I mean, think about it now. Like it made him more of a good guy because she was kind of a piece of shit.
Mm.
So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I guess. So scratch that. Never mind.
Her husband was definitely purely comic relief. That's it. That was his whole role, and he did it well. My favorite is him looking up whether or not devil worship was real or whatever, like, and then like how to use the crossbow.
That was the greatest. He
Yeah.
like had no fucking clue how to use a crossbow.
The so the deaths. We'll jump through those. The maids. The first maid was shot in the face. They show. I mean, it's very graphic. They show it. I'll go through all the maids and then we can talk about them. The crossbolt in the mouth. The sister shoots. He hands the crossbolt. The crossbow. Excuse me. It fires a crossbolt into her mouth. I'm very tired, everybody. Just so you know, we're recording this at night, and I'm tired. And so if I'm stumbling over my words, that's why. I do have a lot of coffee right here, which I'm going to regret in about 2 hours when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, that tonight that'll be the case. I don't think there'll be much sleep happening. The So yeah, she gets a crossbolt in the mouth, and then they end up cutting her head off because she's still alive and gargling blood. And they play all that. And then the one is crushed in the little elevator thing.
That the dumbwaiter one was my favorite.
Yeah.
Of those scenes. Like she's trying to like hide in there, and then she like yells, she's over here, trying to basically ruin where she's hiding. And then she tries to hit the button, but then Grace like tries to pull her back out, and then she ends up getting stuck. And it's like, I don't know,
Yeah,
it didn't rip her in half, but it like broke her back and snapped her in half.
there's no way in hell I would have anything like that without sensors.
Well,
Stop sensors in them.
I can tell you now that the automated one's probably a little bit more sensitive, but I knew it was a cousin of mine who lived up in Illinois, and they had a dumbwaiter, and it was strong enough. And at 14 years old, we could fit inside of it and like pull stuff up. So like they're strong as shit, but it being automated, it would be able to do that. However, I don't know. The house was super old, so I don't know that it would have safety features. But
no, they would have, they could have updated, but yeah, no, I'm sure yeah, they don't. I don't. I'm about to research that now. I'm interested. There has to be. I'm going to say in new ones safety features. I don't know. I'm not going to do it right now, but maybe next week's review I'll have an answer. The butler. So the butler Stevens. You're introduced to the character, and then all of a sudden he's like the main villain for like 50-60% of the damn movie. Like, I was like, what?
yeah, because he's the one trying to help catch her, but because all the other help in the movie, all the other maids and stuff, you feel like they don't really know what's going on. But he's been through a couple of these already and knows exactly what's going on. So he's trying to help.
Yeah, and he gets hurt really bad. She smashes his face with hot boiling water.
Tea kettle.
Yeah, like he's getting hurt the whole time, and then finally, I was a little unhappy with his demise. Because it was so underwhelming. I forgot. I couldn't even remember before we started recording. I just couldn't remember what the hell happened to him, because there's just a point in the movie where he just is no longer there, and then I had to remember. Oh yeah, he's driving her. He's listening to his like opera or his music that he enjoys, and he doesn't realize she's waking up behind him, and she causes him to have a car accident, crash, and it kills him. And I don't know. To me, it wasn't impactful enough because I legitimately forgot that he died. I didn't even think he died. I thought he was just hurt. I would have probably done something a little different with him, just because he was in the movie so damn much, and then literally it's just like, oh, the car flips, and now he's gone.
To me, with the over the top, like the one maid getting her face blasted in half, the bolt through the mouth, and then the one who almost got separated, into two. There was all these over the top deaths, and his wasn't.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if they would have thrown him from the car, or had
That's
the car
exactly.
like cut him in half, and he's like sitting there struggling trying to get back to his legs or something, silly, it would have made more sense. But like you said, it didn't feel like his death mattered. And for him to be one of the main characters, and these maids, these throwaway characters had these extravagant deaths, it felt underwhelming for him to die that way.
He had to die before the ending because I don't think he would have. He wasn't in the family, so
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
think he would have
think
went.
he would have died the way that they die at the end, which we'll talk about in a minute. So he definitely had to die before that. So I mean, at the point he died, fine. I would have done something a little more over the top, just because was the style of the movie. Uh, and let me see here. Okay, so she ends up going outside to this like barn thing, and then there's like this cellar place where they do put all the dead bodies.
Well,
And
not only that, they call it the goat cellar because that's where they keep the goats, but they sacrifice goats.
yes, yes,
So it's so they're God,
yeah, they're straight Satanists. Yeah. The
which wasn't revealed yet at this point.
No, no, really not till damn near the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
The So she goes in there, and one of the kids comes out, and she doesn't realize it, and he shoots her in the hand, blows a hole right through her hand. She punches him, knocks him unconscious. She falls into the cellar thing and ends up the most painful scene in the movie. She climbs out. The ladder is all jacked up. It's falling apart, and she's only hanging on by one hand, and she needs to get up. So there's a nail sticking out, and she takes her hand with the open wound, the hole, and she smashes it where the nail goes through the open wound, and then uses the flesh of her hand to brace herself as she lifts herself out. Very well done scene. Very very gross. It's the kind of scene where you flinch. You're just like, oh god, that is horrible.
Yeah, it was. There's lots of scenes that were over the top and crazy, but that one to me was the only one that gave me kind of like the willies. I was like, oh god, like it made me uncomfortable thinking about how bad that would have hurt.
Yes. Yeah. Just the let's see here. So the mother, there's a scene where she's like I said, all that character development of she's cares about the family. This has to happen, and she is right. If Grace doesn't die, the whole family dies. So in that regard, you do understand she wants to protect her family, and it leads to a scene where Grace kills her, brutally kills her, beats her to death with the box. Um, yeah, I mean it was a graphic scene. I thought the mother was the most sympathetic character in the entire movie. Obviously, next to Grace, even more so than the fucking kids. Uh, the
Kids were the worst.
Yeah, they were a pain in the ass. So that was a significant scene, I think, for the film. How the fuck?
Well, I
I'm trying to
think
remember. Okay, I remember. I'm remembering the order now. Go ahead.
well when she killed the mom, because I want to say that was after the first time they tried to sacrifice her. And then she got away, and then they caught her again, and that's when she killed the mom. But she, beat her head in with that box that she drew the hide and seek card from, and it was significant to me because the mom didn't want to do it, but she wanted to protect her whole family. And Grace at this point's like, "Fuck your family. I'm here to protect myself."
Yeah.
So to me, it was that divide in teams, I guess. Like it was.
There's a scene where they first get Grace and they're going to sacrifice her the first time, and they all drink. They're doing this whole like satanic ritual or whatever, and they drink from these cups. And it turns out that Daniel poisoned them. He put like acid in them, and so they all start vomiting up blood. And another scene that's sort of like, oh god, that's horrible. Just thinking about that. This leads to Daniel's death, and more so than anything, that to me was the true turning point for Alex. When he lost Daniel, I think that was when he was like, "All right, I'm gonna be evil now." um, Even though I think he was a selfish character
Well, I
and a
think
bad guy.
I think that once he lost his brother, he that was what he was really fighting for. I mean, he loved Grace and he was looking forward to, being married and being with her or whatever. But I think that once he lost his brother, he was like, well, I got to save the rest of my family because he felt like maybe she wasn't worth anybody else dying. And I think initially he didn't buy into the curse. He didn't buy into the bullshit that if, that person didn't die, that they were all going to die. So I think that he felt like maybe it was bullshit. So he was saying, well, if we keep her alive, we'll all be okay. And then once his brother died, I think he felt like that was maybe he felt the curse was real at that point.
Hmm.
So he was trying to get rid of the thing that was going to kill the rest of his family.
We get to the end of the movie, and great sequence. It's not long at all. It's like 3 or 5 minutes, and these assholes didn't. I mean, all they had to do was look out the window to see what time it was. So that was the only dumb part of it. But basically, they're rushing. They're trying to get the sacrifice going. Alex is leading it, and he goes to plunge the knife into her, and she's quick, moves. He hits her, but not in a vital spot. And then they realize, oh no, it's dawn. The sun is up. It's too late. She's won the game. And so then we have sort of a period where everybody's a little scared, but nothing's happening. So now they're questioning, well, maybe it is all bullshit. And so, it's at this point in the movie, what were you thinking?
I thought it was going to be funnier if it was bullshit. Like
Yeah.
I was really, really hoping. Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't bullshit.
You know.
But I thought that it was. It would have been 1,000 times more funny for them to be like, they all lived and be like, oh well, sorry, Grace. I guess we're gonna have to kill you anyway now because now you watched us do all this and we can't let you go. Like that to me would have been the ultimate way to end it because it would have been so fucking funny that these satanic people have just kind of like, the Hatfield McCoys. Like, I hate them Hatfields. Why? Because they're Hatfields. Like, they've been doing this for forever without any provocation, any proof, anything, just because it's what they've always done. So to me, it would have been a lot funnier had it not happened. But up until this point, I wasn't sure. Like, I felt maybe they were going to go the route I was hoping. And the route that they took wasn't bad. It just
Yeah.
wasn't what I was thinking.
Yeah, there was a second where I thought it was all going to be bullshit too. Up to this point, nothing supernatural has occurred in the entire film. So yeah, there was a moment where I was like, I started laughing, like, oh, nothing's going to happen. Uh, so that moment passes because the aunt grabs an axe and she's like, I won't fail you, Mr. LaBelle, and she's about to try and kill Grace, and then boom, she explodes. Like literally explodes, blood, gore, everywhere. And this is the moment where everyone's like, "Oh shit!" And then we get to the creepy, little creepy portion. What? Oh, I forgot. Grace early in an earlier scene had smashed a lantern, so the house had caught on fire at this point, and everybody was too distracted to do anything about it. So parts of the house are on fire. All of a sudden, that record starts playing, and that was great. That creepy record from earlier in the film
I
about
loved
that was a
that
great
part.
scene. Yeah, yeah. So the record's playing, and now they're all looking around and they're realizing, oh no, we've lost. LaBelle is coming for us. And then in comedic fashion, everybody starts exploding one by one, um, leading to. Okay, now this was a question I had for you. Yeah. So everybody's exploding. The father, he's just like, I've served you. This is bullshit, and then he explodes too. And then the kid, oh yeah, the sister runs with her kids out in the hall, and then all three of them
That was
explode.
that was the best because
It was done for comedic effect. Yeah, if you see
because
it.
it was like pop and it was like almost like pop pop.
And so we get
Great.
to Alex. Everyone is dead except Alex and Grace. Alex approaches Grace and he's still not dead. And he's alive. And then he says something along the lines of almost like he gets to be spared, maybe because he's married to her or something. Maybe their bond or whatever keeps him on her team, if you will.
Jesus Christ. Dog was like scratching his leg and it sounded like someone was banging on the door. Sorry, go ahead.
Uh, it almost felt like because they were married that they were on the same team. And then she says, "I want a divorce." She takes the ring off and flicks it at him, and then he explodes. So, yeah, do you think it appears that's what they were alluding to, that the married couple would survive? Like he would have survived had she not done that, maybe.
Um, I I think that if they didn't specify what the rules were of the game, as far
No.
as they didn't specify the consequences, so they didn't say, if this happens or if this happens. So at that point, what I felt, just like the first little pause, I think he was always going to die anyway. I don't think that it was ever because they were married. I think that Mr. LaBelle he was almost playing a game himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was more testing Grace, not testing Alex. I think Alex was already done. He was already done for. He did not give a shit. Alex was dead. But I did feel like he was testing Grace to see what she would do. Because right after that scene, he revealed himself to her. And then, after revealing himself to her, she just kind of left.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Alex explodes. LaBelle appears in the chair for a brief second, sort of nods at her, "Good job." She's at this point, just like,
Congratulations.
what the hell? She walks outside, lights a cigarette as emergency services show up, and the house burns down. That's it. In credits. That is the movie. Would you make a sequel to this ever?
I wouldn't, but I could see how they could. Like,
Because it's
to
almost
me,
a Jumanji from hell,
yeah, because the way that they ended it, they basically let her. Because if they were saying Alex was the chosen one, he was the one leading the future because he actually saw him sitting in a chair. Does that make her the chosen one now? Does
I
she the
was
one
thinking that
leading the?
too. Yeah.
So my question is now she the, you know, per, the person who is in charge of that box now? Is she the one who is, trying to carry this game forward? Doesn't mean she will, but I think that if they wanted to almost turn it into like a Saw, I don't want them
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
because I think after the first like two, they turned into dog shit. But this one being a movie by itself, I really liked. I'm not saying that I would like anymore, but I could see how they could do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you could almost make this like a little franchise if you wanted to, where different families of different kinds are fighting like this. Like I could just as I could just see some like like in an apartment building complex, or I'm thinking like a trailer park. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of different
That would be
places
fantastic.
where you could play this game. I'm just thinking about it in my mind right now as someone who's been in the South and lived in a trailer park. It could be very interesting. So yeah,
Where you're
I
not
don't.
meth country.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if they'll ever do a sequel or anything like that, but yeah, I could see how they could. I don't know how this movie performed It did make it into theaters. It's funny now we have to specify if a movie makes it to a theater because of current events.
Well, on
I'm
all the
actually
streaming services, so many things are readily online.
I'm actually gonna look that up real quick. I'm just curious if it made any money or not. I can't imagine it cost much. I was curious whether or not those were sets. I think they were. I don't think that was a real house. I think it was sets. I could be way wrong on that, but I don't know. The movie. What was the budget? Oh shit! Budget was only 6 million. Movie made 57 worldwide. So yeah, it made a few bucks.
Damn.
So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's about it as far as ready or not. I say every single week before we record, I'm like, you know what? There's not a whole lot to say about the movie. It's only going to take us 20, 30 minutes. And then it always comes in damn near an hour or more. Uh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but whatever. That's what it is. The apologize if I've been babbling any this one. I literally am very tired. Putting words together is very difficult right now, but I guess
Just like
maybe
that sentence. Holy shit.
yeah, it's it so it's funny sometimes when I record I have a drink. This time I didn't. I think this time I should have. That might have helped. Um so yeah, that's about it. We'll have another movie review next Friday. I'm not going to say what it is. We're doing something different, and it's interesting. Do you have any other thoughts on uh, the movie or anything else?
I would just say if you got a free, hour or so, check it out because it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's not that long. If you have a group of people or you have a spouse or whatever, I think it's a good movie to sit down and watch together. It's fun.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
All right, so that is that's it. Well, we will see y'all Sunday for the Perry Mason review.